Okay, sure. I'm looking like a young guy from Texas with the hat. You know what I'm talking about. Except that I'm not sitting on a horse this morning with those funny shoes that they wear and all of that. But it's the mood of Christmas. It's the eve of Christmas. Today, Thursday, 24th December 2015. Well, how are you feeling today? I hope you're feeling good. I hope you're feeling okay. Hope you're feeling loved. And I hope you're also planning to show some love to someone by way of putting something together to make that person special. It may not be tangible items. It could just be the things you say, the words that you speak will bring succor, comfort, as a soothing impact on someone out there. Welcome on board the show. Your ultimate show on television, TMI, this special Christmas Eve edition with yours sincerely, Sonny Duke Okosun. Today on the show, the state of the nation will attract our attention. We'll also be looking at the 2016 budget, which of course was presented by Mr. President a couple of days back, respecting to analysts to highlight and examine the key aspects of that budget. But right now, right away, we're going to set the ball rolling. We're going to take off on a flying start on the package for today, maybe because it's Christmas Eve. And then again, there's a young man I'll be talking with today, someone who's done so much in the movie industry locally and even internationally, someone in the mode of acne apropos, if you know what I'm talking about, but is resident here in Edo State. We'll be talking with him on the show today as well. But for now, let's quickly get the show off the ground with an interview segment. I'm being joined now by Samuel Ogbemudia II. Is with me on set on the program today. Public affairs commentator, political analyst, as sports analyst, administrator. Sam Jr., many thanks for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure, Sonny Duke Okosun.
Compliments of the season.
Season's greetings.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Yeah, so much is trendy right now in the country. And some will say what we're experiencing today is a fallout of what the immediate past government left behind. Others will say, well, it's a reflection of the inability of the current government to manage the situation. On which side of the divide do you belong?
Well, thank you. Like I said, season's greetings to everybody. The state of the nation in terms of the past and the present. Where we are now is as a result of what has happened in the past. In anything that you are doing in life, you must look at historical trends. In fact, in all vocations, you deal with history. When you are taking statistics, when you are preparing your budget, you must look at the past before you come to a conclusion. So what I'm saying is that I don't believe it's just over the last 6 years. It has been a situation of managing success, not properly managing success. Because at the time, oil price was about 130 or so dollars per barrel. Today, I think it's 30-something dollars per barrel. So, even in the Bible, Joseph, is it Joseph? Who was it that had a dream and he said...
Yeah, Joseph.
Yeah, you store, there's a period, there's a lean period and a peak period. That during the lean period, peak period, you store for the lean period.
Yeah.
So, we had all the resources, we relaxed, and concentrated on oil. And during the peak period, instead of storing, I don't know what was going on. It was like... the peak period will never end. It's the same thing in agriculture. You prepare yourself for the period of the lean period. you prepare for the lean period. We are in the lean period now, and it's a global issue.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for the last 1 year, ever since, how many years since Boko Haram started? Boko Haram is not just an issue of, some people were saying that it's a Muslim something, but everybody has now realized that they are just a bunch of criminals. It's a global issue, including ISIS, Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda. Al-Shabaab, the other day, you saw that in Kenya, they were trying to kill some Christians, and it was Muslims that came to defend them. So, what I believe is that whatever you have, save for the rainy day.
Okay. Now, let me just quickly get some deeper, position on this issue of where we had the boom. We ought to have done some things, particularly saving. But I want you to expatiate on that, because I remember that the immediate past administration tried something in that direction by setting up the Sovereign Wealth Fund, but people kicked against it.
Yes, you can set up any kind of fund, but in a situation where you budget 15 naira, for example, to buy a biro, and that 15 naira, instead of using the 15 naira to buy the biro, you go and use the 15 naira to buy chewing gum. At the end of the day, you'll be looking for another 15 naira. You now say supplementary budget to buy the same biro. That is what they call fiscal monetary discipline. So if you are not disciplined as far as your finances are concerned, then it's very difficult for you to move forward. Now, this issue of saving, like I said, you can save money, and at the end of the day, there's a difference. There are two areas in life, need and want. You know Maslow's theory of needs, basic necessities of life.
Yeah.
So I think the problem was that during the peak period of Nigeria, we were going along with our wants, not our needs. So for me, it's a question of discipline. The theories for implementing factories, building roads, they have been there for years, decades. So it's implementation that is the problem.
Some people would easily blame governors in the Federation who were always at daggers drawn with the federal government over sharing of monies that ought to be in the Federation account as it relates to the Sovereign Wealth Fund. At some point, they took the federal government to court saying this wasn't constitutional. Maybe if we had been patient enough to allow that fund to blossom and grow, maybe we wouldn't have been where we are today. Do you agree with that? That the governors had a role to play in the current financial mess that the nation is in?
Well, what I have to say, I always look at the overall aspect of governance. And for me, there are areas in governance. First of all, before you become an elected official, they have what you call aspiring to be a candidate. That is a campaign on its own. Then you now have, you become the candidate. After you become the candidate, you campaign. You are the victor. After you become the victor, there's another campaign to set up your team. Even after you have set up your team, there's an issue of campaign either for your team to succeed or for your team to fail. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not just the governors. Governors comprise a minute percentage of Nigerians. The problem is the aspect of the campaign. When the governor becomes governor, you now have a new set of, a clique, a mafia that sets itself up to decide whether the governor will succeed or will fail. And they go to all extremes to discredit those who will advise any chief executive on how to move his or her organization forward. All extremes, blackmail and all kinds of things. So if the governor is not focused, if the chief executive of a manufacturing company is not focused, you'll find out that at the end result, he will not get the product because of distractions, because of that clique. Many years ago, I read the story of, is it Henry VIII? Henry VIII would dress up, they say he would dress up as a woman and go into the town to go and find out what is actually going on. But if you just sit in your office, and when you are sitting in your office, the security will tell you, oh, Your Excellency, don't go anywhere. It's red alert outside. You sit down. Your Excellency, they know the Excellency is going to go and check the accounts of the Ministry of Defense, or go and check the accounts of internal affairs. So they will say, Your Excellency, don't go anywhere. There's red alert. Excellency will sit down in one place. We will never check those books. It's the same thing in all organizations. You have people who distract the chief executive. So for me, I don't blame the governors, I blame Nigerians, because JFK said, ask not what your country will do for you, but what you will do for your country.
Okay. A new chapter has been opened for national development, particularly against the background of the current administration. What's your take on the impacts made so far in terms of promises made?
Well, after March 28th, when the new administration came in, President Muhammad Buhari's administration came in, there was this aura around him of fear. And so everybody was doing their job. Supposedly, some of the refineries were working. There was light. And other areas were working. But that aura, I think after some time, some people have deciphered him. Some people have understood him. As soon as he appointed his ministers, if you look back, as soon as he appointed his ministers, that is when problems started.
Why do you say so?
I say so because the technocrats are the civil servants. And the civil servants, they will have their own way of testing this chief executive officer. When he comes in, they give him some tests. See what metal he has, so that they will know how to relate with the chief executive officer. Either he will get the product or he will not get the product. So that is the problem now. The chief executive officers who are the ministers, so, for me, many of them have had experience, but the truth of the matter is that when you go into an area, you have to read up. You have to learn on the job. So that period of learning on the job is where the civil service are taking advantage. The technocrats, the experts, are taking advantage. Sometimes they will give them proper information. Other times they will give them false information to see what they have upstairs.
So are you saying then that with the current administration, that sort of approval rating, integrity rating that greeted the coming on board of PMB has dwindled? Is that what you're saying right now?
Naturally, it will dwindle because of the fuel scarcity and the issue of lights and the rest.
And because you said that, you said a while ago that immediately ministers were appointed. That's where it started from. What is the correlation between the appointment of ministers and the change in the fortune of the country, particularly using indices such as the anti-corruption war, and then you also talked about power that seems to improve, just when he came on board, and then you also talked about refineries working. All of these things seems to have just fizzled away within a short period of time. So is this because the new ministers came on board? I thought the new ministers were supposed to boost whatever Mr. President has done or whatever approval rating he had.
Yes, they will eventually boost the approval rating. But like I said, the technocrats, the experts, the civil servants are putting the political appointees through test run now to see what they have, whether they can deliver. Because like I keep saying, in all vocations, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly. In the medical field, you have the good, the bad, the ugly. Drivers on the road, you have the good, the bad, the ugly. Armed forces personnel, you have the good, the bad, the ugly. Ultimately, they are Nigerians. And you know, most Nigerians, their character, you have the very good, you have the bad, the ugly. So, what I'm trying to say is that the ministers have been put through, say it again, a test run. And until they get out of that test run, political appointees, they can never see the light of the day.
So what's your time frame for this test run to elapse?
Well, the people they are appointed, for me, for example, the former governor of Rivers State, Chief Amici, Fashola, the former governor of Lagos State, they have a record of performance. And for me, it shouldn't take them much time to understand their environment, the terrain where they are working, who they are working with. Because a man that has been able to achieve results in the past, it should not be difficult, shouldn't take time. So when you talk of time frame, I would say a serious-minded individual, it shouldn't take him 1 month to study up on the ministry that is empowered to be in charge of. So Nigerians, for me, should be patient and patient for the result to come. But at the same time, my advice to the federal government is to try and weed out those bad elements, those technocrats who are bad elements. They have their records.
Okay. What major key platform on the back of which the present administration rode on is the issue of fight against corruption? Some have said, even though some achievements have been recorded or some things have been done in that war against corruption, it's still not where it ought to be, going by the promise made, by the present administration. For example, even you said a while ago that 2 key members of the Federal Executive Council, they performed in their respective states. But there are also allegations, or there were allegations of misappropriation of funds, or if you like, call it corruption, that were leveled against these 2 people. Don't you think that, to a large extent, is also part of the reason why all of these zest that greeted the present administration when it just came on board is fizzling away? But because, take for example, in the case of Amici, there was allegation of corruption against him from a state where a judicial panel of inquiry was set up. And then you have Fashola in Lagos. There were so many allegations against him on corruption charges and all of that. And people thought that on account of the anti-corruption stance of PMB, as it were, these people would not scheduled to become minister. But eventually, they became ministers. I don't know if you make any correlation on that.
Yes, that is why PMB was sent at this time in our history, the history of Nigeria, to become the president. Because he has been to that office before, but he was in that office as a military officer. So he knew that those who were loyal to him when the good fight was on, the fight of faith was on, those who were loyal to him, he knew that most of the allegations were just allegations until it passes through due process. And if you watch what happened in Rivers, it was merely the state government that made allegations against the former governor, Amechi. In Rivers. In Lagos, it was the same thing. The same government, the successor to Fashola, that did the allegations. So they are all mere allegations until proven in the court of law. Mere allegations. Ditto for everybody that is alleged to have taken funds from the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Our Commonwealth. So they are just allegations for me.
Okay. Well, on the final note, before we let you go, the year is coming to an end. We're projecting to 2016. Budget has been passed. Mr. President, before that budget presentation at the National Assembly, asked Nigerians to tighten their belt ahead of 2016. What do you make of this, against the background of some of the challenges even the citizens are going through at the moment? Challenges of unpaid salaries and allowances and a whole lot. What's your final take?
Nigerians have been going through hell for many decades. And as far as I'm concerned, the hell will continue until Nigerians themselves change their attitude. That is why I said, JFK said, ask not what your country will do for you, what you will do for your country. The other day I saw on TV, not that I supported it, but I saw somebody punch the Prime Minister of Spain. So what I'm saying is that Nigerians, from the lower cadre to the middle cadre to the top echelon, have to change their outlook, have to change their character, and make sure that they demand what is their own. You don't just look at somebody because he's a governor, or look at somebody because he's a local government chairman. You start worshiping him. You don't go and attend meetings, political meetings, and just keep quiet. And at the end of the day, you don't say anything. You just go home and say, okay, we agree. You have to use the God-given gift that has been given to everybody, and that's knowledge. That's the spirit of boldness. I know you follow the scriptures, but there are different spirits that people have. You know, so you have to use your God-given talent to demand what is yours. And let me tell you, there was one government house I went to the other day. When I got there, one security official was trying to stop me. I said, listen to me, my friend. I have lived with a governor for many years. I've stayed in a government house for many years. The person said, oh, that the governor is just coming from so and so. I said, I don't give a hoot where the governor is coming from. It could be coming from the moon. But let me tell you, what I have to tell the governor, it could possibly save his life. Because at the end of the day, we all know that when it comes to the issue of an outgoing governor, the outgoing governor normally tries to put his own person to protect his own interest. But we have discovered in many states, I take Orji Kalu and Orji, how Orji pursued Orji Kalu after he took over from him. And many other instances.
Why does this always happen?
It happens because It happens because they try to control their departure, try to control affairs.
Is it control their departure or cover their tracks?
No, cover their tracks.
They try to cover their tracks.
They want
someone, maybe a stooge, who can help to cover their tracks.
No,
so when they're out of office, nobody can know what transpired. Nobody can look into the books.
No, that's not it. The issue is to continue with what they started with.
The legacy they left behind.
Yes, finish off what they started
All right.
with.
Well, we'll leave it at that today. Hopefully some of that time.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to add to it is that is why when you are leaving office, leave the door open to the best.
To emerge.
Because it is the best whose mind cannot be manipulated by the mafia that eventually will try to surround the best.
Okay. I think we'll leave it at that today. Subsequently, we'll have you on the show. We'll also talk more on it. You just told us something quite striking, that this is why it is advisable you leave the process open for the best to emerge. Because when the best emerges, it will be someone who is upright, someone who is intelligent, has got stuff upstairs, and can't be manipulated by the cabal that will eventually surround whoever emerges. I think that's some food for thought. Samuel Ogbemudia Jr., many thanks for joining us on the program TMI. It's always a delight to have you here.
Yes,
we'll take a short break, and we'll bring you the news after the AM news. We'll be looking at what the papers are saying this Thursday morning. Welcome on board TMI. If you're just joining us, but bear with me when we kick it off by 7 on the dot. Thank you so much for staying with me.